Hi, how are you? Today we shall learn about how stomata are modified depending on the habitat of a plant. Okay? So, there exist different types of plants depending on where they live. And these regions are usually categorized according to the amount of water present in the environment. For instance, if a plant grows in a very dry area, what is the name given to such plants? Try to guess. Okay, I hope you have mentioned. What about those plants which grow in wet areas, areas that receive ample rainfall? Good. And what about those which grow in water? Probably you have given us the names of those groups of plants. Now, depending on those regions, the stomata are modified in a number of ways. And today we shall discuss how the stomata are adapted, or how the stomata are adapted to suit the environment the plant lives in. Good. So, stomata are modified a number of ways, as we have said, depending on the habitat of the plant. Now, depending on the habitat of the plant, there are three categories of plants. That is, if your guess was xerophyte, for plants that grow in arid or semi-arid areas, or areas that don't receive ample rainfall, then you are right. Okay? So, there are three categories of plants depending on the habitat. We have xerophytes. These are plants that grow in dry areas. So stomata are modified to suit the habitat. We also have hydrophytes. These are plants that grow near water bodies or even in water bodies. And we can also have mesophytes, and these are plants that grow in areas that receive enough rainfall. So, the first thing that we shall discuss today is to talk about how the plants or the leaves of the plants living in first case is hydrophytes. How are they adapted to their functions? How are the stomata arranged? And how does the leaf look like? The diagram down here actually shows how the leaf of hydrophytes look like. Okay, if you look keenly, this is the lower epidermis, and this one here is the upper epidermis. So this is a photomicrograph of the leaf. It was captured and produced here. So if you look keenly, above the leaf, there exist a number of stomata. So stomata in hydrophytes, that is, plants that grow in water surfaces like the water lily, etc., etc., have got a lot of stomata on the upper side and no stomata on the lower side. The purpose for this is to facilitate transpiration to take place, to actually facilitate the plant to lose the excess water, because the plants grow already in water. Okay? Above all, if you look keenly, there are large air spaces inside the leaf. Are you able to see them? The substomatal air spaces in the parenchyma tissue are actually large. These actually enable the plant to store air to facilitate gaseous exchange, and also enable the leaf to float. Hence we say for buoyancy. So let us actually see how the leaves of hydrophytes are modified. So we shall talk about distribution of stomata in aquatic or floating plants, that is the hydrophytes. So aquatic plants such as water lily have numerous stomata on the upper leaf surface. The reason is that to facilitate loss of water. By which process? Transpiration, of course. Good. Now, also the intercellular air spaces in the leaf or spongy mesophyll are large. They have got large intercellular air spaces. This has got two main functions. One, to store air for gaseous exchange, and two, for buoyancy, to enable the leaf to float on water. Gaseous exchange occurs by diffusion, just like any other plant. Good. Now, when we observe the transaction or cross-section or transverse section of a leaf of aquatic plants such as nymphaea or a water lily, it differs from the terrestrial plants because of the following reasons, which we have just seen. One, in the upper surface, there is no cuticle completely. This is to facilitate rapid transpiration in order for the plant to lose the excess water. Okay? There is also a large number of stomata on the upper surface to facilitate gaseous exchange and also to facilitate loss of water to the atmosphere by evapotranspiration, by transpiration. And also another modification is that there exist large air spaces. These air spaces in the substomatal air spaces, actually we have said they've got two main functions. Okay? So we have said they have got for two main functions. One, to facilitate gaseous exchange, and also for buoyancy. Now, apart from that, there are sclerids or stone cells which are scattered in the leaf surface and project into the air spaces. This also is for buoyancy, and they also strengthen the leaf, making it firm and assist it to float. So, what can we say about leaves of hydrophytes as far as their stomata distribution is concerned? We have said that the stomata are mainly found on the upper surface. Why? To facilitate transpiration, that is, loss of excess water to the atmosphere. Number two, they have got large air spaces. The parenchyma tissue contains large air spaces. Why? One, to facilitate gaseous exchange. Two, for buoyancy. Okay? And there are some stone cells. Able to see them here? Some stone cells which actually have got two main functions. One, they strengthen the cell, making it stiff, and also for buoyancy. So this is how the leaf of hydrophytes are modified and how the stomata are distributed depending on that environment. Good. Now we are good to go to the next. We want to go to the xerophytes. So what do you understand by the term xerophytes? What are xerophytes? What are xerophytes? So these are plants that are found in the dry areas. They are adapted to life in dry areas. Are you able to notice any stomata on the upper side? Try to look keenly. Are you able to notice any stomata on the upper side? Probably no. What about on the lower side? Which features are you able to see? But here there is a guard cell. Probably there is a stoma. And where is the stoma found? The stoma are usually sunken. Are you able to see that they are sunken? They are found in pits. And above all, what else do you see? You see some things which look like hairs. Okay? Good. So this actually is the modification of the leaf of xerophyte. Okay? Let us now summarize how stomata are distributed in xerophytes. We have said xerophytes are plants that are adapted to life in dry areas. These are plants that actually grow in dry areas. they have less number of stomata. That is, their stomata are fewer in number and also small in size. Okay. Another adaptation is that the stomata may be sunken. They may have sunken stomata. And it may also be hairy. We call it hairy or hairy, I don't know, depending on how you were introduced to this 844 system. But we can say the stomata, okay, is hairy, meaning that there are some hairs surrounding the stomata. Okay? And some stomata open during the night and close during the day to minimize transpiration. All these features are to minimize transpiration. Okay? Stomata may be sunken. If the stomata is sunken in this pit, it means the air in this particular pit will be saturated with water vapor, hence preventing excess water from diffusing out, therefore preventing excessive transpiration. Remember, these plants grow in dry areas, hence conservation of water is very, very important. Also, we can see some hairs near the stomata. This also trap still air, prevent air from moving, hence facilitating or preventing, transpiration from taking place. Is it clear? And in some cases, stomata open during night and close during the day. During night, the temperature is low. During the day, temperature is very high. So when the temperature is low, the stoma opens to facilitate gaseous exchange take place. And during the day, when the temperature is high, the stoma closes in order to prevent excessive loss of water. So that is how xerophytes are adapted to their habitat, especially as far as the stoma is concerned. The third category is Mesophytes. Mesophytes are those plants growing in areas with adequate amount of water, like rainforest, like in our ecosystem here. Okay, so this one have got fairly large number of stomata which are found on both the leaf surfaces. What does that mean? The stomata are found both on the upper surface and the lower surface. So the moment you see a leaf whereby it has got stomata on the upper surface and stomata on the lower surface, this means that this plant is a mesophyte. Therefore, how or what is the difference in distribution of stomata as far as habitat of the plant is concerned? Where are stomata found in xerophytes? How is the stomata adapted in xerophyte? What about in hydrophytes? What about in mesophytes? Hope you are able to give me or to mention the different modifications. So, we shall stop there for today. In our next session, we shall dwell on other areas. But it's my hope that you'll be able to do the following exercise. 1. Describe how stomata in xerophytes are modified. Describe how stomata in xerophytes are modified. Bye-bye and have a nice time.